Hello, welcome back to the Dollhouse, and I am the doll. And today I'm talking about the identity crisis of African Americans. This channel is dedicated to bridging the gap between the races in America so that we can preserve our way of life, our standards of living from international threats. And in order to do that, we have to make our community stronger. And one way to do that will be to help to facilitate the melting pot, the cultural melting pot that America was meant to be. One of the main ways to do that is to stop considering ourselves Black, African American, African descendants of slaves, MLS people. Stop considering ourselves to be African American and demand that our government entities stop asking us our racial makeup. There is no reason for those types of questions at this point. Our racial makeup does not matter. It does not matter for the efficiency of governmental programs. No one is entitled to more resources or better service based on race. So why is that a factor? African Americans are Americans, full stop. Most African Americans, we'll say Americans who are at least first generation, were born here in America, on the soil of America. The great majority of us who consider ourselves to be African Americans have ancestry that stretch far back before the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, back to the Revolutionary War, to the Declaration of Independence in 1776. Even before then, back to the beginnings of the slave trade. So most of us who are considered to be African Americans have some admixture, some European admixture, some white admixture. We have the blood of the enslaved people as well as the slave masters. Emphasis on our enslaved ancestry is a throwback to the one-drop rule. We're no longer denying our ethnic makeup, no longer denying that most of us have a connection to the original deadbeat dads, the white slave masters, and the forefathers of this great country. Bob Marley had a song, and the lyrics say, "The stone that the builder refused will become the cornerstone." And blacks, brown people, descendants of enslaved people and the slave masters have been the cornerstone of this great country, tilling the soil, nurturing the land, nurturing the children of the families that built the foundation for this great nation. Not only did we till the soil and grow the crops that helped us to grow wealth in this nation, the descendants of the enslaved developed the blues, jazz, rock and roll, hip hop, great athleticism. Like, we have a rhythmic nature mixed with a very a strong work ethic that helped to propel this nation forward with everyone else. So we are Americans. The African part of us is very real, but it is not the leading identifier for who we are. I've never been to Africa. I don't consider myself to be African, and Africans would not consider me to be African. Every time I travel outside the country, it's made very obvious that I am used to the standard of living in America. And I'm an American citizen. Africans call Black Americans Akata, which I believe was wild cat or wild goat or something like that. It could be considered a slur by some. But we also considered ourselves to be separate from Africans. I have a great respect for the culture of various African nations and tribes. I do not understand their ways of being. And calling ourselves African Americans creates a barrier between us and our birthright to this land as citizens of America and fully fledged Americans, basically. So the government tracking of race really serves no purpose. I would encourage all who listen, MLS, African descendants of the enslaved, all of us to start checking the other box, especially if you have admixture from slavery. Like I say, even 1%, 2%, 3%, 10% admixture is significant. Let's say you had a bottle of pepper. You took 10% of it out and replaced it with salt. Don't you think that would change the flavor of the seasoning? That's exactly what the white admixture has done to the population in America. The population born to the descendants of the enslaved. Not only was there admixture from the slave masters, there was also admixture from the Native Americans. We have a melting pot, truly. Our country is very young in comparison to some of the other countries in the world. There are banks in England older than America. I mean, this is just a new country, and we're trying to forge our way, and we have really developed an outstanding way to live in this country where people have representation and have rights. Not only do we have rights, we have responsibilities. The greater responsibility we feel to the country, the more that we can serve and the better our communities will be. But we will not feel responsible for a country when we feel separate from it, and calling ourselves African Americans does not foster a feeling of togetherness. It fosters a feeling of otherness and separatism. So that is what I feel should happen. Besides us just saying that we are American, our nationality is American, and that, you know, perhaps secondarily we are the descendants of the enslaved people who were brought here. We should also recognize that there's no such thing as a black community or a white community. In our cities and towns, there may be neighborhoods with a high proportion of a certain demographic, but there are no restrictions on where people can move and what communities can be occupied by whom. There's no such thing as a black community. We don't have separate leaders. We have elected leaders that we all participate in getting into office. And it's up to us to be responsible as servants in the community and get to know who our representatives are. It's also up to us to recognize that whatever's happening in the quote-unquote black community is happening in America, period. Whatever happens in the hood infects the suburbs indirectly. The ripple effect exists. It affects the state and it affects the nation. The things that happen in the south side of Chicago trickle over into Garney. The things that happen in Memphis trickle over into Belmead. So this is certainly something that we have to stop doing. is addressing our community as the Black community and allowing white people to do it too. We are the American constituents, citizens of America, who happen to be descendants of the enslaved and are very likely to be descendants of the slavers as well. So part of our rebranding includes owning our Americanness, owning the unique traits exclusive to the descendants of the enslaved in America, like our connection to the land and the soil, and even the crops that helped America thrive, like cotton, and our very cloud-like, cotton-like hair texture, beautiful colored skin that matches some of the earth in areas where our enslaved ancestors worked. We are very special. We have a rhythmic nature that has elevated this country and helped the culture to gain popularity with citizens worldwide. There are lots of positive attributes that we bring to this country, and leaning into them will help us to have a better brand and help us to navigate the world, because we show what our value is and what we have to offer to help make this a better world. The stereotypes that work against us are not primarily who we are. So I hope this makes sense. We have to drop the African from African American and just be American. It is our birthright. I appreciate you for listening. I would love to know your thoughts. Please like the video because it's free and it helps people to find me. I want the word to spread. I want our rebrand to become a popular movement. And I am excited that you are a part. So I hope this is helpful. Leave your comments down below. Let's talk about it.